Hey guys, what's up? Stock Retail coming back to you. Hope you're having a great Tuesday. It's a happy day where I'm at, hopefully for you too. Although, it's not lost on me that it's been tough of late in terms of the stock market, crypto, a whole lot of political news. It's just a lot swirling around us. And so for me personally, I've actually been doing pretty well. Just to share with you guys, look, I hate where our stock price is. But in terms of just mentally being locked in, understanding where we're going, being committed to this journey, I've never been more sure. And so I just wanted to share with you guys what's keeping me there, what's keeping me grounded, because I see people on X in particular. You guys know that when I get real busy, it's hard to make videos. So sometimes I'm hit or miss in terms of my ability to be here on YouTube. But I'm pretty consistent on X because, you can fire off a couple thoughts or track what people are doing during the day. And there you would just see, like I said, that consistency, that belief, nothing has changed for me. And what I really feel, it's just a feeling, is that it's like if the machine, or if you want to call it the cabal or the matrix, or just everything that's stacked against us wants us to believe we're in this sort of really difficult, challenging place and to sort of defeat us emotionally and mentally. And what I want to just bring you back to today, I just put a quick video together just to remind you with facts. You guys know on this channel, I say facts over FUD. There's no trust me bros. We're going to ground ourselves in what's real and what's coming and not just hopium. But the facts of this industry show that we are mere days away from everything we have talked about for years. I really genuinely believe that. I'm going to show you why I believe that. So you can just even see the title of the video. AMC is days away from a new era. Well, let me show you, okay, why am I saying that? So first off, if you've been here a while, and some of us, I'm an ape who's been here all the way since December 2020. If you've been here long enough, you know that Q1 of every year, it tends to be the lightest quarter of the year, right? We just had a great Q4. By the way, for those who follow me for the earnings recaps, I have pulled that together. I have the slide I usually do. I just wanted to do this video first. So in a day or two, I'll come back around and do the Q4 earnings recap. But if you missed it, if you were asleep or under a rock or something, we had positive cash flows from operations. Or cash generated from operations. We had positive free cash flows. A really great step in our journey. And in particular, it was kind of an in-your-face to the fear-based crowd who wants you to be afraid of AMC burning cash. AMC generated a lot of cash last quarter, and I will come back and review those results with you soon enough. Like I said, I have the slide. But today, let's keep looking forward because, as I said, Q1 is light. We are going to, I'll be completely transparent with you. I believe we will burn cash in Q1. I've always believed that. But what I've always told you is we had plenty. Adam and team were very smart. They had the war chest. And so to me, it was never concerning. If you see a thing coming and you prepare for the thing, then when the thing happens, you don't need to be afraid. And so that's why I sort of get so grouchy or annoyed with the fear-based voices who want to scare you, because the things they're talking about, people could see on the horizon for a very long time. Myself, Adam and team, you could just see these things coming and they prepared for it. So yes, Q1 is cash burn, but I also want you to think about, and this is why in the past few videos where I've looked ahead, I have talked to you about when Captain America came out. I have talked to you about when Snow White is coming out, because cash flows are real time. Most of the cash burn is really in the first month and a half of this quarter, when we didn't have as many new titles coming out, and we were kind of living off the sort of carryover from Mufasa and Sonic and Moana and Wicked. And now we're starting to, I've sort of said Dogman was kind of the industry blinking its eyes open. Captain America was the industry sort of stretching and getting up off the couch. Snow White is coming. You kind of rub your face. It's this wake up metaphor I'm using. And now let me show you Q2 and why I'm saying we are days away from a brand new era. So if you kind of juxtapose Q1 and a little bit of cash burn, but again, remember, when I come back to reviewing Q4, you're going to see, hey, we landed with $623 million. I think I might be quoting our total, current assets, but it's something like $600+ million. And so we are not going to burn anywhere near that in Q1. And so the thing is like, all right, we're fine. So if we've made it to this new era, now let me show you what that is, then there should be no fear. And in fact, you guys know that I continue to remind us too. I mean, if the notion of wise investing is buy low, sell high, if we're about to have an industry turnaround, which I'm going to show you, and AMC's stock price is low, then what a great opportunity. So let's just look. I'm going to go right to it without even animation this time or anything. I'm just going to show you a few of the movies by month. And the reason I'll do it by month instead of just the whole quarter is so you can see and get the feel for these next few months. If I had the camera on, you'd see I'm like moving one hand up and to the right. There's going to be this curve of the industry suddenly reviving and breathing new life and bringing significant new revenues and bringing us to a level we haven't seen, which of course then means profits for AMC. And if cash flows are real time, you can kill the fear-based message by understanding when the revenues are coming, the merchandise revenues, the food and beverage revenues, the ticket sale revenues. They're all coming with these films and then all the other films sprinkled in between. So you can see already here at the beginning of April, we get the Minecraft movie. Now, I have raised 3 children, although, one of them's still back in 5th grade, so I guess I'm not done yet. But all 3 of my children were deep into Minecraft. All of their friends were into Minecraft. Look at the big YouTubers, like a Preston or somebody. There's a lot of sort of Minecraft culture that I witnessed in my house and with my friends' circles. Don't sleep on how big that is. Now, granted, I think some of us, are sort of cautiously optimistic, want to see how that movie lands. But think back to Mario and how big that landed. There is an appetite for, the things that these kids grew up with. And so I do believe that's going to be a very big movie. You get then The Amateur comes in, which I am very excited about. You get Sinners. I would go look at industry forecasts for that. Like you can find them out on IMDb and Box Office Pro, and there's a few others. The industry forecast for Sinners, in fact, that was supposed to be in March, and they swapped it with Mickey 17. And I believe they swapped it because they felt that the studio felt they could turn this one into a blockbuster. So I have a feeling you're going to see that one be real big. And then The Accountant 2 comes out. I'm pretty excited about that. That franchise is really cool. And then, we get finally, I think, a video game movie that people are pretty excited about. I'm just sort of thinking about that in terms of like last year and was it Outlanders or whatever? I think I just said the name wrong there, but the one that kind of flopped last year. But I think Until Dawn, again, if you've seen the trailers or if you look at the industry forecast, looking very big. So April alone has 3 very big movies and 2, I'll call it pretty big movies. And so April starts to get a lot bigger. And then look at the bottom. We also, of course, in April, still have revenue coming from like Working Man and Snow White, both only have about a week in March. And so then a lot of the revenue from those movies will carry over into April. So April is starting to look like, the biggest month of the year so far, but we don't stop there. Then look at May. Thunderbolts, so we've got, a new Marvel movie with a few characters that are known and a few that maybe are less known, but, they advertised that at the Super Bowl, as you probably saw. And I think most forecasts seem to have that one maybe being even quite a bit bigger than Captain America. Let's see if it lands. But I know I'm pretty excited about that one. And as far as I've seen in the industry in terms of critics, and critics are tough on comic book movies, right? There seems to be some buzz behind that movie. Like maybe they really dialed in the story and the production, and maybe they've got a pretty good story to tell. So pretty excited about that one. Then you get Final Destination, Bloodlines. I've said pretty clearly on my channel, I'm not so into horror myself, but boy, the horror movie industry, if it's kind of like a genre industry, is just electric for the whole year. There is a whole lot of films for you if you're a horror movie buff. And that one is looking pretty big. Again, go check some of those industry forecasts, and you'll see why I've put that one on here. Lilo and Stitch, I honestly think most people are under forecasting that. I suppose I'm putting that out there, and I could be proven wrong. But I just think Lilo and Stitch is going to surprise some people. And note that Disney put it right before the Memorial Weekend kind of corridor, which is blockbuster season. So Disney is placing their bet on Lilo and Stitch kicking off blockbuster season. That tells me something. And again, maybe I'm just biased because of the timing of where I come from and when I raised kids and all of that. But I really just think that one is going to be a lot bigger than people are even estimating currently, and could really kick us into high gear. And then you get the follow up on Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. So we get the final reckoning. I'm sure that Paramount is going to market that as this is it. This is the final Tom Cruise Mission Impossible. Who knows? I can't promise they'll never make another one, but it sure feels like this is the end. And it's the follow up to last year's movie. And so that's going to be huge. And then again, for my generation, we get a new Karate Kid. I just don't think you want to underestimate how much Karate Kid means to my generation. Like it's probably in my top 3 or 4 movies of all time. That's how many times I've watched it. That's how much it means to me. It's hard to explain if you were an 80s kid what Karate Kid meant to you. And I am definitely in that bucket. So May, you can just see, it's like if April gets kind of bigger than we've seen yet this year, and then May gets even bigger. And now look out, because we're into like blockbuster season. So then you can see June, I've got even more on the screen. So you get Ballerina, which is the follow-up to John Wick. And they're starting their sort of buzz and hype schedule. I've been starting to see things all over the internet. How to Train Your Dragon, that's another one that I personally believe people might even be under forecasting. That's just, I mean, look, basically what I'm telling you is, in a way, I've got a focus group in my house of what kids are going to react to. And I can kind of tell when they think something's like, that's kind of a dud, or it's, that looks amazing. And they are very excited for How to Train Your Dragon. That's a franchise that is beloved by quite a few people over the last, say, 20 years or so. And so that's going to be real big. Elio, I don't honestly know how big Elio will be. I go back and forth on that. Obviously, Pixar has been sort of finding their mojo again. I'll kind of put it that way. After maybe a couple of misses, the last couple of years, but I think they've started to find their way again, with Elemental and kind of going forward from there. And there's been some good stuff. And Elio just looks really, really neat to me. I just think that's going to be a pretty cool story. So let's see if maybe Pixar has found their magic again, and we could see that one be big. And then Megan 2.0, that franchise just exploded out of nowhere, right, last year. And so now here we get another one. You get 28 years later, right? So we had, I think, 28 hours, 28 weeks. Now we get 28 years. So that is a well-known franchise. Seems that Hollywood has figured out how to monetize franchises. I think that's going to be big. And then don't sleep on F1, which I think is Apple. Yeah, that's Apple. And it's a Brad Pitt movie, a race car movie, kind of high octane. And they have put a lot of money behind that. And you can see they've put that smack in the middle of summer blockbuster season. So just, go back, snapshot these, or go look at, all you got to do is Google 2025 movies, and you'll start seeing the list of a whole bunch of movies I didn't even show you. Think about how big all of this is. Now, just a note at the bottom, I've noted that some of these movies come out towards the end of June. So when I do my forecasts, right, I've got to figure out how much of that revenue carries into Q3. But what I've really told you, and I'm going to show you in a minute, is in fact, why don't we just jump there? So if some of that revenue carries into Q3, the whole last 3 quarters of the year are, just kind of look at, if we had a nice big quarter way back in Q2 of 22, we had, you remember sort of the Barbenheimer quarter, it was Q3 23. Before that, we had some blockbusters that had hit. We had, I think that might be Maverick too. No, Maverick's 22. That's what that is back here. But in 2023, we had 2 profitable quarters, back-to-back, bottom line earnings, profits. We had positive free cash flow, a lot of great things. And since then, we, even improved the fundamentals. I've done that in 100 videos, not 100, but, I've told you guys quite a few times. So now look at that level where we were at back-to-back profitable quarters. We just had down here, if you're kind of watching me hover, Q4 24 is all the way down here. And you saw that we had 200 million plus cash from operations. We had positive cash flow. This is just the box office I'm showing you. And you'll note, so that's what I'm saying, Q1 is a big dip. But again, that was seen coming for a long time. We just didn't have some of the titles. But what's happening is you're getting a huge, finally the industry is sort of a post-strike industry. Post-COVID, post-strike. We got to post-COVID over here, didn't we? And then boom, the strike hit. And you can see those next 3 quarters, and that sucked. And then we kind of had some recovery. There's a little blip. But now, like, we start cooking with gas. And I've told you so long that that was coming. And we are here. Because, again, if this quarter starts April 1st is less than 4 weeks away. So that's why I'm saying we are days away from our final recovery, post-COVID and post-strike, get all of that behind us. And you'll see if you were like on Twitter, X, a while back, I don't know, a month ago, I probably posted about like the last 9 months of this year being like $1 billion bigger than our best 9 months ever in our ape era. So these last 9 months, I think all 3 quarters are going to be kind of right at profit levels, positive cash flow. Q3 probably challenged that a little bit. Adam kind of helped us see the timing of Qs 1 and 3 tend to have some expenses hit. And so I'll kind of review and give you guys a more detailed forecast on that. But we're right there. I've updated already based on the last quarterly filing. Every time we get a quarterly filing, I try to review where I need to revise the way I forecast and just keep dialing it in tighter and tighter. And so even with all of that we've just learned, with some assumptions around some debt pay down, like remember how we've got the $400 million that'll get paid off if we ever kind of get up sort of close to $6 a share. I really believe these last 3 quarters, all 3 certainly combined, are going to be profitable. So that's my point is like, hey, once you get to April 1st, which we're basically there, right? And we've got Snow White coming out to help us. Once we get to April 1st, just from then forward, AMC is a profitable company. We will turn the corner. I really believe that. And I'll kind of show you that in more detail and prove that. But let me just show you a few things. So box office by year. Now, granted, this is a forecast. I could be totally wrong. But I have seen, a while back I showed you that I had come out and said kind of 9.5 billion plus. And then the industry came out and said that as well. Adam's been a little more conservative. I think he might have said something like 9.3 billion. But, you can see we're basically in the zone with each other of having a pretty similar forecast. And so just look at where we've come from. We had our strike impact year this last year, FY24. Or this is CY calendar year, but AMC's on a calendar year, fiscal year. So you look how we dipped down here because of the strike, and then look at where we get to in 2025. And we're just at places we've never been. So what's going to happen, I can just already tell you, it's just so easy to predict. Through the rest of Q1 and until the earnings report of Q1, which won't be until like May, you're going to have the shills give you fear-based messaging because they're going to point you, let me go back, they're going to point you to the results of Q1. But we're already going to be living in Q2, right? We're going to be living up here because we're already, if we don't report earnings until like May from Q1, I told you this last year too, they'll get you focused on the rear view mirror, even though cash is real time coming in the door for AMC. So I just want you to really understand where we are. So when those guys do that, when they tell you the sky is falling and cash burn and Adam's going to have to ask for all these more shares and all these things, and I suppose let me be careful there. He may honestly ask for more shares soon, but that's a whole other topic. But the point is, do they need it? In my opinion, no, because the cash is there. We're finally turning the corner to profitability, kind of, Q2 and beyond. And then 2026, I'm probably even low here on 2026 because you can go find and fact check me that a whole lot of voices in the industry have started to ask the question of, will 2026 be a new all-time record for the entire box office? Yes, an all-time record. And go and look in like Box Office Mojo and go to the yearly view there, and you will see that I am nowhere near the all-time record here. And the amount of profits AMC would have at that level, we're talking about like, I don't know, $600 to $1 billion of profit if AMC sees an all-time record box office on the full year. So, and that's a wild number. I'm not, let me do a dialed in forecast for that. But the point is you're going to see AMC printing money. And so when I say, hey, we're to the industry recovery and it's multi-year, we're going to go on a multi-year run. If I was to put 2027 here, it'd be even higher. All the while AMC is paying down debt and getting even more profitable. All the while Hycroft is starting to finally pull gold out of the earth and show its value on AMC's books. Like, this thing is over, guys. We've made it. Now, nobody's going to rest. I fully expect our leadership team to keep working their hind ends off for us. I'm so proud of them. They've come through a very hard journey themselves as well. It's been a hard road. So nobody's going to just rest until it's truly, truly done. But what I'm just saying to you is the shills want you to believe we're in this really hard place. When the cash coming in the door real time is going to be coming from these movies that are days away. And even Snow White that I could have said before this. So we are there. Let me show you a few more things. Just an interesting note, a little bit of a side note. I'm kind of wondering, it's been gosh, it's been some time of trying to figure out for me how to forecast popcorn and where to report that. And every quarter I do have an assumption, and I've been pretty close on AMC's profits. Adam, by the way, in the earnings call, if you didn't see on X, I did a live stream basically of a live tweeting of all of what was happening in the earnings call. And you'll find one of the tweets where I'm just quoting him. And he said popcorn was actually fully profitable this last quarter. And meanwhile, we were opening, thousands more doors. So it continues to grow. And what I'm suggesting here is I think you're seeing the impact of popcorn and merch in our other revenue. I'm showing you now a view of basically 3 years. So all of 2022, all of 2023, all of 2024, this is our other revenue. You could fact check this, go to AMC's earnings reports and look at the other revenue line. So I'm showing you by quarter what AMC's other revenue is. You can see it's pretty heavily merch driven. So when we have big box office quarters, then you get higher other revenue. People coming in for blockbusters and buying the popcorn buckets and these kinds of things, and having a few other items. And of course, we had the Taylor Swift quarter where the merch was Swifties went crazy on the merch, and it was kind of expensive. So we did well there. But here's the point. This box office right now, so why don't you just let me focus your eyes in on Q3 2023. So you can see we had a very high other revenue. Q4 of 2024 was about the same box office, I think even a little bit lower than Q3 of 2023. But look how much higher our revenue is. Well, that's because this is basically when we started kind of piloting popcorn. It had a full year of growth and all the thousands of doors expansion. And look at the significant growth. And then on top of that, Adam said in the earnings call, they have sort of now, so I'm a supply chain guy. I think I've told you guys that. Have a background in planning, forecasting, managing supply chains, just 20 plus years in supply chain and finance and kind of all that. And I will tell you that you have a decision to make of like how much inventory risk to take on your books basically. And what Adam said in the call was, hey, we've been selling out within days. We can take on a little more inventory risk and take a little longer to sell. So he's taking, let's say, weeks of product instead of days. And so I think you're seeing the result of that. That'll mean sometimes if there's ever a flop on a popcorn bucket, I don't know, the design doesn't land or the movie doesn't land, you're going to see some AMC having to sort of deeply discount some inventory. That's just normal supply chain stuff. But without getting too nerdy on it, the cost of missed sales versus the cost of inventory, sometimes that's a nice trade-off. Maybe we should talk sometime about sort of launch culture and keeping things. There's a certain amount of scarcity you want to keep if you want in collectibles. If something's too commoditized, then consumers, maybe it's just not as exciting anymore and they won't pay as much. So that's a whole thing I trust the team to be thinking about. But I'm getting too deep in the weeds. The point is, look at our other revenue, and I'll just compare these three peaks. And you can see it is steeply up and to the right, which Adam had told us was coming. So if you think about popcorn growth, if you think about merchandise growth, maybe there's even some, subscription growth, I'll call it, in terms of like if someone took A-list but then didn't go to very many movies, maybe that's contributing in the other revenue. I'm not too sure that maybe they're counting that in admissions. Either way, watch revenue growth in the other revenue line. I think it was 140 mil. It was like 138. Well, yeah, you can see it on the chart here, basically 138 this last quarter. So steep growth on that, which should have you bullish about the future as well. If the industry is growing, plus AMC's expanding popcorn and merch. So it's like this double whammy. I'm just reminding you, I have not refreshed this slide, so you can even see that our debt is showing as of the end of Q3. They did report that our debt is even lower at the end of Q4, so it did go down again. Just showing you again, if the box office is going steeply up and to the right. Our other revenue in terms of merch and popcorn is going steeply up and to the right, and our debt has been going down and to the right. This is a business and an industry that is in steep recovery, and we are there. We're days away, you guys. So just like chill, we're there. All right, TLDR. The industry, well, I was just saying that, is days away from a multi-year run like we have just not seen yet. Again, don't even take my word for it. Go look at what industry insiders are saying about 2026. I showed you how radical the growth in 2025 is. They're talking about all-time records in 2026. AMC's debt, I just showed you, has continued to decline. Other revenue is poised for all-time highs. Ticket sales and concessions poised for a post-2019 high and then starting to creep towards all-time highs, while the stock is at all-time lows. I cannot stress enough. Buy low, sell high. You can make a lot of money on recovery plays, and I haven't even talked about the squeeze on top of that. And you know what I believe is that we will win. So let's go.